Welcome to Thrive Radio. I'm your host, Aimee Montgomery, entrepreneur and digital marketing agency owner. Today, my guest is Manoj Ramanan, and he is a leadership coach and workshop facilitator. He loves working with managers and leaders who feel stuck to help them identify their purpose, express their authentic selves at work, and pursue achievement and fulfillment in the leadership journey. Manoj, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me, Aimee.
Yes. So how did you become a leadership coach?
That's a long story. I had about 10 years of experience after my MBA working in different roles, business development, account management. And I reached a stage in my career where I was living in the Bay Area, was successful, but felt unfulfilled. And so I just took a chance. I went to a meetup called San Francisco Bay Area Coaches Meetup. This was in 2015. And as I walked in there, I just connected with the people there. There were coaches from all different, kinds, and I just felt that was a strong pull factor. So I ended up signing up for a series of coaching courses with an institute called Coaches Training Institute, and that literally changed the way I saw myself. I kind of found my calling. I spent another 2 to 3 years working. In the meantime, I pursued my certification, and then in 2019, I decided to dive in full time. I started off primarily focusing on, career coaching, because I felt like a lot of people were going through what I was going through in terms of, feeling successful at some level, but, not really having a sense of fulfillment or joy in showing up every day. But over a period of time, I realized that what I really cared about was both career growth, but also leadership growth. And leadership for me is about just being authentic, embracing your imperfections, accepting yourself as you are, and then embracing a growth mindset and going on your own journey. And I just fell in love with it more and more. And ironically, I started coaching more people who were in the tech industry, who were, transitioning from managers to senior leaders, and who are transitioning from being an individual contributor or a subject matter expert to managing, their teams. So that's what I do primarily now. There's still an element of career coaching that I do, but I fundamentally focus on helping people embrace their authentic selves, kind of carve out their own path and find fulfillment and joy in their leadership journey.
What kind of impact have you noticed that coaching has on people's lives?
I'll start with me. I had this loud inner voice in my head that was constantly wanting me to, do more. I was working 70 to 80 hours, working with a lot of senior people and decision makers. There was a lot of learning involved, but I don't really think I got a good night's sleep because I was constantly, my mind was overactive, and I was not really feeling peaceful. Once I went through coaching, it just allowed me to shift the way I saw myself. It allowed me to have more compassion for myself. It allowed me to just sink in and figure out what I truly wanted, what I can step away from, what I can allow more into my life. It allowed me to kind of live life on my own terms. And I think that's the ultimate freedom. The analogy I tell my clients is, there's two ways to climb up a hill. One way is, you're constantly keeping your eyes on reaching the top of the mountain, and you're like doing everything you can, but in a sense, you are missing out on the journey. And sometimes when you reach the top, you don't have a sense of why you got there and what you want to do. But instead, if you have a sense of purpose, if you kind of can figure out what makes you come alive, then you can enjoy the journey, still go on that hike, still keep your eyes on the prize, but smell the air, breathe, enjoy the journey, and achieve success coupled with fulfillment and joy. And I believe that coaching I believe coaching is healing in a way. It just allows one to accept themselves, and instead of beating oneself up, they can start focusing on just showing up and being more alive and having a difference through their work.
So what do you think causes someone to become unfulfilled in their career?
I think there could be two different reasons. One, I believe that there are people who got into a space where they are really competent. They can do everything. They are really good no matter, but they haven't identified their zone of genius. So something that is, they are exceptional at. something where they can truly thrive, and it feels like an inner expression of themselves. I think that is something which I think I coach a lot of people who are like, hey, I have reached a certain point, but I don't enjoy it. I don't enjoy the process. I don't know what I'm truly great at. And I help them figure out what is their zone of genius, where do they really thrive, and then help them figure out a way to transition to that kind of a role. The other piece I feel is people aren't, we evolve as human beings, and what you used to enjoy 5-10 years ago, what you used to find challenging a few years ago may not feel as challenging as you evolve. And so I think it's a constant journey. I believe instead of life purpose, there's compelling purpose, right? It's whatever compels us in that moment. And so it's a constant journey to keep becoming more and more self-aware of what is it that you care about, what is it that you want to express, what is it that you want to accomplish, how do you want this journey to be, and then accordingly transition there. I also feel that if you look at the whole landscape today, there's a lot of emphasis on developing certain leaders who are almost like superstars, right? So they do everything exceptionally well. So a lot of attention is given on developing people who are exceptional. But there's a lot of people in the middle who feel stuck, who can, if leaders can understand what they truly want, they can enable them to be successful in their own terms. They can enable them to reach more into their leadership potential. And I think a lot of times people don't show up fully. They don't express their work with passion because they feel a sense of disconnection. They're just unaware of what they really care about.
It's important too, because sometimes, you'll get a job because you're for the money, maybe, well, I got to pay the bill. So this is what I do. And it's so easy to get in that mode of, you just have a job versus a career, and really asking yourself where you want to grow. I know that I always dreaded when people asked me what my 5-year plan was, because to your point, my 5-year plan was always not be here. If I were to be honest, it would be my 5-year plan is to not be working here. And, you can't say that in your review, but it's so important. I agree, to actually find your own purpose and a deeper meaning inside of what you are doing. How do you help managers and leaders get clarity to help them focus on the right things?
My style of coaching is explorative and collaborative. I believe that, every single one of us, we actually have the answers within. But if you talk to people, we'll always start off with, I don't know. I don't know what I want. I don't know what is purpose. I don't know, what I really want to do. So I believe that a job of a coach is, to provide that safe space where people can allow themselves to be vulnerable, to be able to share fully of themselves, to kind of explore their past. Because no matter, even if you have just worked for 5 years, there are aspects of your job where you would have expressed yourself. There are aspects of your job where you would have loved what you did. So a lot of times it's our own thinking that comes in the way of identifying what we truly care about, what we are exceptional at. What I focus on is helping managers and leaders figure out what is it that they truly want. If they are falling short of their leadership goals, the first step is, where do you want to go? Is that something that is aligned with what you want? Alignment to me is what has changed my life. And so I bring a lot of that into my coaching by asking them clarifying questions around what does alignment feel like for them? Where can they find their sweet spot of growing? And the other piece is, a lot of managers and leaders, they are so focused. The nature of job has changed in the last 10-20 years. There's a lot more stress. There's just a lot more challenges. And so there's this constant duality of, hey, I need to be a subject matter expert. I can't lose relevance with respect to the knowledge. At the same time, whether I know it or not, I have to manage a team. I have to develop the next set of leaders. I have to, take care of my culture. So there's just so many things that can at times overwhelm people. So the key for them is I provide a space where they can let go of, their limiting patterns. They can identify what they truly care about. Given that I have walked this journey as well, I do have some insights to share, but I typically tend to give them the space where they can figure it out. And then, as need be, in coaching terms, we call it dancing in the moment. I would offer them my insights, and then they can figure out what is it they truly want. And clarity is almost a superpower, because when someone is very clear on what they want and why they want it, then there's natural motivation. Then there's nothing much to do. They're automatically going to go there. That's my style of coaching, and that's how I help managers and leaders find clarity, whether it be around deepening their emotional intelligence, influence, and deepening their presence, or becoming a better public speaker. It's almost always around, okay, where do you want to go? How do you want to go? Why do you want to go? And then, just clear out the path so that they can get over their own thinking and just move forward in terms of what they truly want.
So you mentioned that you help professionals get their dream job. How do you help them? What's that process look like?
I have a framework which I learned through my own experience. I believe that a dream job is at an intersection of 4 core traits, in essence. One is our values. Like, what is it that we truly, truly care about? Some of us may care about, money. Some of us may care about respect. Some of us might care, even though there's an overlap, the core work values that we care about can be different. So first step is to identify what is that core values that you truly care about. The second space is to, figure out your zone of genius. So I help my clients go through assessments around strengths. There's a great assessment called Strengths Finder, where they can figure out, no matter where they think they are, that assessment is going to point out certain things like, hey, you are exceptional in X, or you are exceptional in Y. And so that's incredibly important for them to understand, because that is also the process through which they can show up with more confidence, and also a sense of finding alignment in terms of that next role. The third piece which I focus on is expertise. And expertise is not just, a lot of people feel stuck because they believe that, hey, I have spent so many years in the technology space, in this technology, in this area. How do I transition to, a different field? And a lot of times people don't realize that skills can be transferred. It's how you articulate it and whether you believe in it. I believe that persuasion begins with yourself. Unless you are persuaded yourself, there's no way you're going to persuade anyone else. So the key is to help them see that, hey, what's your expertise? What are you an expert at? What is it that comes naturally to you? And to help them see that that can be transferred. And the fourth piece is the purpose, which is, why do you want what you want? And when people can figure out why is it that they want, because a lot of people, when I work with people say, I want to work for a Google, I want to work for a Facebook, I want to work for an Amazon. Why do you want that? Is it because you're looking at everyone else and you want to be part of that community, or is there a deeper sense of meaning? And I've found that when people can identify why it truly matters, and you couple it with everything else, your values, your strengths, your expertise, and your purpose, then they start just showing up in a different way. And at the end of the day, I believe that the whole interview process is just about connection and converting the interview into a conversation. I have personally hired people, and it's very hard if you look at it to hire just that one top candidate. It's rare that somebody stands out head and shoulders above everyone else. There's always going to be a range of people. There's going to be 3, 4, 5 candidates who are competent, who are smart, who are articulate. And then it comes down to, okay, who did we connect with? Who do we think will fit in this culture, fit in this team? And that is where a sense of just relaxing into your authentic self, just showing up as you. A lot of times I've made the mistake of wanting to be one of those leaders I looked up to. So I used to, even the way I prepared my presentations, I used to mimic or imitate my boss's style. And that never really truly felt like me. And that's the key that people need to realize, that once you have that sense of clarity around your values, your strengths, your expertise, and your purpose, and you can embrace your authentic self, that's your superpower. Because authenticity is the real difference here. I believe that's essential for connection, essential for trust. And that's what you want to do in an interview. You want to connect with the interviewer and persuade them that, hey, you know what, I'm interested. This is what I want. Take me in.
So you also help with communication skills. What are some of the top mistakes that we make?
I think communication, the main mistake we make is we focus on ourselves instead of the other person. We need to realize that people care about the message, not the messenger. So which means you need to figure out what is it that people want to hear. How do they want to hear? What is their style of receiving that information? The other piece is to see that communication also is dependent on the timing. Is that person ready to receive that message? A lot of times I have found that when people don't set the context and they communicate and the timing is off, even though they communicate it right, it's not received. It doesn't have the desired impact. So again, I would say communication is also about, relationship. You need to understand the other person you're talking to, whether it's one-on-one or one-to-many. You need to know your audience. You need to focus on them. You need to focus on what do they want? What do they care about? What is the right way? What is an insight that I can share? How can I communicate this in a way that will be received? The other piece is, again, communication is interactive. I believe that listening is also a part of communication. So can we at times just ask a question and then completely listen? I think a lot of us, when we listen, there's also some internal chatter because we are constantly thinking about, okay, what do I say next? What do I say to this? But sometimes you just want to completely let go of your own thoughts and just fully receive, because that can give you so much information, so much insight that can again help you communicate. And so that's one of the most powerful skills specific to leadership: persuasion, influence. Anything you want to get done, you need to be a good communicator. And so what I help people see is it's not just about the skills. It's also about, truly having that respect for the other individual, coming from a space of service, coming from a space of connecting with them. So the intention before you even walk in. And if I can share a quick story, Aimee.
Yes.
When I graduated from a business school, I graduated from a college called IIM Calcutta in 2009. I was working in the marketing division in a top insurance company in India. And within the first few months, I had to present, market research strategy to the chief marketing officer. That was super scary, right? And as I walked in, I was constantly grappling in my own head. I was battling with myself in terms of, how do I communicate? How do I communicate? And that's why I feel that before that, one needs to, understand that you're just the messenger. What they care about is the message. And it's this constant letting go of our own ego, letting go of our own fears, letting go of our own insecurities, and then tapping into what do I want to communicate? How can I connect with the other person? And then trusting that, whatever we communicate, it will be okay. So that's something I learned through my experience, because I went through a lot of several stressful, scenarios where I had to present, where I had to communicate. And then I learned, hey, they are not really judging me or thinking about me all the time. What they really care about is my message. So how can I be a better messenger of what I want to communicate?
When it comes to authenticity in the workplace, there's a lot of people that have fears around that, and they're afraid to share and they're afraid to relate at a human level. Why is authenticity in the workplace important, and what does it look like?
Authenticity is essentially you showing up as who you are, which is a flawed human being. What I mean by that is nobody is perfect. And we all try to present that perfect face of who we are. When we show up as a manager or as a leader in the room, we want to be the most confident. We want to be confident all the time. We want to be sure all the time. We want to have absolute sense of clarity all the time, which is not possible, just given the gamut of challenges that leaders face today. And so sometimes what I have found is when people can just show up and share their human side, share, a little bit of their insecurities and be real, I have always, found them to be way more relatable. And relatability is a powerful skill in leadership today, because nobody, and again, we are now dealing with, the next generation where, they just want leaders to be there for them. They want them to be coaches. They want them to, care. And how do you care? By being authentic. If you're not authentic, it's difficult to, it's difficult to let people know that you truly care, because you're always coming from a sense of, there's a certain level of, I wouldn't call it artificiality, but it's a sense of insecurity. So I believe that authenticity takes courage, right? It takes a certain level of vulnerability. And I think Brené Brown said this: vulnerability is courage. And it can be hard, which is why you want to even take it one step at a time. I was once coaching a leader who was a big introvert. So, and he was unique in his own sense of eccentricities, and he constantly feared going to these big bang meetings where there's 20, 30 people, or even social parties at office, because he just felt like he was like a fish out of water. I helped him see that, at the end of the day, he doesn't need to change himself. If he's not really comfortable to be there and talk to 10 people at once, he can just start by making eye contact with one person, showing up and having a one-on-one conversation with one person, just being comfortable in his own skin and sharing. And if he's connecting, great. If not, you move on to the next person. A lot of times we overthink and we try to conform, and we try to, and there's a cost to that. There's a cost to inauthenticity, which makes you hard to relate. And one of the things, if you look at the US market today, the biggest issue is attrition. And there's so many different factors, but I believe an antidote to attrition is loyalty, is this relationship between a leader and his directs, right? I've often found there's a saying that, people don't leave their companies, they leave their bosses, right? So by being authentic, you can create that sense of loyalty and relationship with the people around you. And by also being authentic and real, you are creating a space where people can be themselves. They don't need to try to be, somebody else. And that can just be so freeing. Trying to conform takes a lot of energy. And that energy can be invested in so many different things, in learning so many different skills, in serving the customers and so on. So absolutely, I believe for me, authenticity is one of my top values. And it's just the way I show up. But I was not this way. And coaching helped me see that there is a cost to, trying to conform, trying to show up a certain way, trying to be put together. There's also freedom in being authentic and being real and just showing up.
Can you share some of your client stories with us?
Sure. So I'll talk about one client with whom I've been coaching for the last couple of years. When he came, he was on the verge of being demoted in his organization, which is pretty rare. And he was really beating himself up. He had a lot of inner judgment around, why did I not do that? Why did I not do that? And from leading a team of 20 people, his team size significantly shrunk, and he was just leading a team of 5 people. So when he came to me, he was in the sense of, do I quit? I don't want to be here. There was a certain sense of shame that he was feeling. So I helped him see that in those scenarios, it's important to be compassionate with oneself, because the best friend we have is ourselves. We talk to ourselves. The way we are has a big impact. And so I provided that space where he started letting go of his shame, and he started just embracing who he was. And he made peace with the fact that, hey, you know what? It's 5 people, but I'm going to be the best manager for these 5 people. I'm going to put in. So I helped him reframe his thinking so that he showed up as a leader, irrespective of his span. And now fast forward 2 years later, we have gone through so many different topics around authenticity, emotional intelligence, influence, presence, public speaking, communication. And today he's leading a team of 80 people. He's going to be promoted to a senior director. More than anything, he's just so comfortable in his own skin. That's what gives me a lot of joy, that it's not just about helping people become successful. What I care about is helping people become successful while achieving a sense of peace of mind, where your own mind can be your friend instead of constantly, beating you up, where you can enjoy your journey, where you can be yourself. And now sky is the limit. So that's one client who I believe that the relationship also transformed me, because I had those imposter syndrome as well. Like initially when I started off as a coach, I'm like, how do I shift? How do I help him shift? And then I saw that when I can just be, and create that space, uh, you know, magic can happen. And my job as a coach is to be that leader from behind. I believe that my client is the leader in front. I'm the leader from behind. And my job is to champion them. My job is to help them see the best version of themselves. My job is also to, have them be more compassionate, be more human, and just accept themselves. And so that's one story which, I'm super thrilled. I'm celebrating along with him as he's getting promoted.
I think that that's really powerful to mention, really becoming confident in who you are. It seems like more and more those that I speak with on my podcast that talk about leadership, training, or whatever it is. And in order to go to that next level, that's where you've got to be. You have to be confident in who you are, have your boundaries really strong, not allow anyone else to deter you, and be willing to leave or go to a different job if it's not, for you as an individual. So I think that's really, really, really important. I'm glad you mentioned that.
Add to that, because you said something really interesting. And that presence that people bring in, you would have noticed some leaders who, when they show up, there's a sense of presence, right? I believe that presence is actually lack of judgment, right? It's that they are so comfortable in their own skin. They're so comfortable being who they are that they just show up as who they are. Like, I've been following your podcast, and I know you're not trying to be anyone else. You're not trying to, you just show up as you. And that's what makes you have that presence. And a lot of times it's this tuning down your inner chatter, tuning it down, just being accepting, and then trusting that, you embrace a growth mindset. You are going to be better at that. You're going to move forward. You are going to be, exponentially better in not that much of a time as well. So the key is really around, embracing, being comfortable in your own skin, and just letting go of these, what I call is the overthinking curse.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What's one thing you think everyone should have?
What I want for everyone is, I want them to feel that they are enough. They are enough. They know enough. They have enough. Come from that space of who you are, being authentic, being real, coming from a space of, not from a space of lack, but from a space of abundance and from a space of growth mindset. I have found that has shifted my life, because my journey all around for nearly 35 years was around, I need to be better. I need to get that appreciation from my leader so that I feel good about myself. I need to get to the next level. Otherwise, I'm not going to respect myself. So it's that thing that I don't need to prove anything to anyone, including myself. I'm here as a human being to express myself. And I think that is something that I want for every single person, every single one of us. Just be comfortable in your own skin. You matter. You are enough. And when you can show up as you, that is your real gift to the world. That is your real gift to your family, to your friends, to your community, to your company. And that's what I want.
So what do you think is your truth that's gotten you this far in your journey?
I think my truth is, I don't really care about proving anything to anyone, including myself. Sometimes it's just my ego that constantly wants something. So my truth is to be aligned with all of who I am. So sometimes it's just, closing my eyes, centering myself, shifting from my head to my heart. I feel so many of us, we have mastered this, right? We rely on our mind and our intelligence and our intellect so much, but our heart also has a place. So my truth is, a lot of times, this is great. This is a great master, but at times it can, come in the way of you not showing up the way you are. So that is the time for you to sink into your heart. So that's what I want. And my truth is, every time I feel this sense of anxiety or doubt or, limiting pattern, I'll just close my eyes. I'll just say, what, no matter what, I'll fully love and accept myself. I am enough. I have enough. I know enough. And that's the truth that I have learned through my journey.
So if you were able to give yourself one piece of advice when you first started out, what would it be?
As a coach?
Yeah.
I think I would have told myself to not play small. I think there's a certain aspect of, because the ego is constantly there. The ego is always there. It's like, okay, make sure you coach, become an associate certified coach, become a professional certified coach, make sure you coach so many people, and then you can show up to the world, and then, you can dream bigger. And what I'm learning is, I did listen to that voice of, okay, I'm happy, I'm contented, I have 30 clients, I'm good. It's okay. It's okay if I'm not really visible or I don't play big. But I'm learning that if I could have given myself that advice, that is also a story. That is also just the ego playing a trick. At the end of the day, I am just a messenger. And if my message resonates, people are going to come, and we are going to have a relationship, a coach-client relationship, a trainer, team relationship, and move forward. And so I believe that the advice I would have given myself is, don't play small, play in service of your purpose, play in service of what you believe in. And that's both the advice I give to myself as well to any other entrepreneur today, whether they are a solopreneur, whether they are in different kinds of business, wherever they are. Don't play small. Just take a stand for what you believe in and just show up.
So Manoj, if there are individuals listening and they want to know how to get a hold of you to work with you, what's the best way to contact you?
They can, I think I've shared my Calendly link. So I'm offering every single person, whether you are a manager, a leader, a senior leader, no matter what kind of challenge you're facing, or maybe you feel stuck in your career, you just want a conversation, I'm offering a complimentary 45-minute conversation. So they can just, find a time that works for them and, reach out to me, and I can have a one-on-one. And then if we have the right fit, we'll see if we can move forward. The other piece is I'm also expanding my work to doing workshops in corporate companies. So you can find me in LinkedIn, and either you can message me in LinkedIn, or you can send an email to email@manojramanan.com. I'll have a quick response for any such request.
And again, I'll put all of your links down below, all your social media, so people can access it there. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing your expertise and everything that you have learned in coaching, really in growing in your career. Because I think that what you're offering is very unique from others that I've spoken with, and where you're really helping people, even in that middle management place, get to the next level in their career. And so I think that's really phenomenal.
Thank you so much, Aimee. It's such a pleasure talking to you. And thank you for inviting me to your podcast. I really hope this is useful and serves people who need this.
Yeah. And if you're listening, you want more information about A Call to Thrive, you can go to acalltothrive.com. Thank you, everyone. And we'll see you in the next podcast.